Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Northwest Liberty News, picking the lock on the shackles of tyranny.
Machines are going to fail, and the system's going to fail.
The past is past, the future's now.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Sometimes trouble just follows a man.
There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus.
Can't you stop your lips from flapping for 2 little minutes?
It's because I'm white.
I'm a man. I'm sensitive. I need to feel loved. I need to be desired.
I'm rapidly becoming a big underground success in this town.
Well, it's a question of methods. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants to do what they have to do to get them done.
And now, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, brought to you by Northwest Liberty News, it's Montana Gazette Radio with your host, James White. Okay, I'm your host, James White. This is Montana Gazette Radio. Thanks so much for joining me here today on the broadcast on this 24th day of March 2021. We've been having some technical issues here recently that have precluded us from broadcasting consistently. I believe that I've cleared all those issues up here technical-wise, and we should hopefully be able to move forward now without the technical issues that we've been experiencing. Especially the sound issues have been really bad. So these, I believe, as I stated, I believe that I have that resolved, and we will. Time will tell, as they say. But again, I appreciate you joining me here today on the show. We're coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, the last best place on earth, as they say, and we're delighted that you decided to join us here today. We're back out. We're out of Facebook or YouTube jail, it looks like. However, I would suggest that you go over to the Rumble channel anyway. I'm working right now. Today, I should have by the end of the day today, I should have on Northwest Liberty News, the listen page. I should have all of the different links that you can listen to the program on. I should have that listed by the end of the day today. And pardon me. I will have all of the places that the show gets uploaded to as well, including the podcast and those type of things. So, thanks so much for joining me here. We are Montana Gazette Radio. We are a conservative news organization here and radio show that tries to promote liberty, freedom, personal freedoms and smaller government and certainly less tyranny. And we just appreciate you joining us in the fight. You can go to montanadailygazette.com to support this show, and we're going to be hitting that site a little bit later. We're going to be hitting that site a little bit later and talking about that. But right now we're going to be talking about here. We're going to be talking about some legislative bills that are kind of making their way through the Montana Legislature. They only meet once every 2 years for about 3 or 4 months. Right around there. It's not very long session. So everything that they have to get done, they have to get done in a relatively short amount of time. So things move quick, and certain bills get booted quickly. They don't even make it, they don't make it through the committee, or they get voted down in one of the two houses. At any rate, it's a process, thankfully, in Montana that you can be involved in, and I highly encourage you to do so. This really is your government, folks, and I was so encouraged. I have some people in from out of town, and we were talking just a couple of nights ago, and they were telling me about the classes that they're taking, where they're from, talking about the corporation, and talking about how we've been usurped, by a foreign entity, really, and all this whole stuff that all the stuff that they do as far as the municipal government, and the taxes and the fines and the really the plan to crush the middle class and crush any prosperity. And you can see it played out over the last how many months with the mask mandate and other things. So we're delighted that there's a lot of really good legislators here in Montana. Some things, I'd like to see different, but that is a when you have a representative form of government where you elect representatives to go represent you in your district, you're not going to agree with every single thing that they do. We know this. Your only hope is, of course, that on balance they lean a lot more conservative, or whatever stripe you are. You would only hope that they would lean more your way than other ways, but it's not always going to be that way, right? You're going to take the good with the bad. Some things you're going to agree with, some things you're not. And that's why if you don't agree with it, and too many things come along you don't agree with, that's why you should run. You can run for office yourself, and you can be the change. And that's a lot of things that's going on around here in the Flathead Valley area. There are people, good patriots, that are standing up and running for different offices. They're running for different boards. They're just trying to make a change from within, and we certainly strongly encourage that. And we have already had some of them on the show here and supported them, and we will continue to support the effort by the folks to take the country back from those that don't necessarily have our best interests in mind and have a Agenda 2030. Agenda 21 was the original plan. Agenda 2030 now is the other date that they're setting. Really, here's the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what you want to call it, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050. Really doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, it all boils down to a small group of elite trying to exercise their control over the larger portion of the population. This is nothing new. This has been going on for a long time, since our whole entire lives, probably, or longer. And it's an awakening that's going on right now. Now, for me, I wish it was happening faster. The border crisis thing is just out of control. It's off the charts, out of control with what's going on down there at the border, and they're just lost all sense of control over what even the border, the ICE guys, or the customs guys down there are just basically throwing their hands in the air and saying, we can't maintain this. We can't keep this up. So something has to give, and a lot of these people that are coming across, as it's been stated before, they're not sending their best. They're not sending their corporate executives or their leading scientists. They're not. They're sending a lot of times people that aren't exactly don't fit in that category, let's put it that way, and are criminally minded. Now, I'm not against people trying to leave where they're from and seek a better life. If the situation were reversed, I'd probably be doing the same thing too. But there's a process that's in place for people, and whatever your viewpoint on it, you can't take away the fact that there's many people that have went through the entire process and have taken the classes and done everything they're supposed to do, and it's taken them years and probably lots and lots of money. I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure it's not cheap. So they've spent a lot of time and energy and money to be able to get their citizenship, and then a certain group just bolts across and gets benefits, and these. Did you? It was brought up in an article I was looking at earlier, where you look at the contrast of the National Guard troops in D.C. sleeping on the cold concrete floor in the parking garage, yet people that are able to successfully make it across the border illegally are put up in hotels. I think they've put millions and millions of dollars aside to make that happen. This is outrageous. This is preposterous. And they're not going to stop. You realize this, right? They're not going to stop. They're not going to go, you know what, we've pillaged and raped you guys long enough. We're going to go down the straight and narrow path. We're going to go legit. Nope, they're not going to go legit. They're not going to go legit. They're going to double down is what they're going to do. Now they are, I mean, just aggressively trying to disarm us. That should concern everyone, whether you're liberal or conservative, right or left. Historically speaking, this is not a good move for the rest of the population when you're disarmed. Historically speaking, it's not a good time for the population once they're disarmed. So we have to continue to stand up for our Second Amendment, rights to defend ourselves. Really, the government doesn't give us those rights. I mean, that's the whole part about it. I mean, they say they're going to take away our rights. They don't give us our rights to defend it. We don't need government permission to defend ourselves from harm and from people that wish to harm us. We don't have to have permission to do this. They're taking power or trying to assume a role or a position of power that they just don't have. We don't have to get permission from them you have to call it. Okay, hey, someone's breaking into my house. You have to call up the governor. Hey, governor, do I have a right to defend myself? Oh, I don't? Okay, and you hang up the phone. I guess I'll just sit back and be victimized. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You don't need that permission. You don't need permission. And once we resist this and render them useless, render whatever they say meaningless because none of us follow it, then they have no ability to do anything. What are they going to do? Round up everybody and throw them in jail? How do you think that's going to work out? It's not going to happen. But again, we don't have to be violent. We don't have to break out baseball bats, tire irons, anything like that. All we have to do is just resist and say, no, we're not going to put up with this anymore en masse. But, I don't know if we're there yet. I look at the mask mandate thing and what went on there and what still goes on. I just saw someone yesterday driving in the car, wearing a mask in their car. I mean, that is an unbelievable level of mind control that they've exercised on us. Now, another thing we need to be concerned with, and we'll get to the Montana news here in a minute. Another thing we need to be concerned with, and you see some of it happening now, I think was it Denver yesterday? How many more of these potential false flag shootings are going to have to occur or going to occur as they continue to get to their agenda passed. They're moving towards their anti-gun agenda, the disarm us agenda, and they're going to start off, they did the bump stocks, which Trump was involved in. You just have to call it what it is. He was encouraged, he was behind that. Now they want to, I believe, remove any 30-round magazines. Pretty soon it's going to come down to, if they had their way, you're allowed to have a muzzle loader, maybe, a black powder, 50 caliber black powder, maybe, if you fill out all the proper documentation and you go through all of the proper courses. And of course, if you are vaccinated, then you'll be able to have your muzzle loader. I mean, this is their total disarmament, because they cannot, and they know this, and you should know this, they cannot successfully take over an entire population of people that are armed and determined not to be taken over. They're not going to be able to pull that off with how many millions of gun owners, tens of millions of gun owners, and hundreds of millions of guns here in this country. That makes a statement, and that's why they're working so hard to get rid of it. So again, this is a constant battle. This goes on every day. There's you can't just sit back and assume that because you have the Constitution that all your liberties are safeguarded and that you can just continue to carry on and everything's going to work out all right. Nope. There's always groups of people out there, organizations, groups of people that are trying to usurp your rights and trying to take over every day. They never rest. Evil operates day and night. So collectively, we have to operate day and night if we're going to keep up with them. All right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break here. When I get back on the other side, I will go over some of these legislative, some of the bills here that are up in the Montana Legislature. Some good ones here that we need to support, and I think that I'm supposed to be doing an interview with Teresa Manzella, who we're going to cover her. We're going to cover one of the bills here that I believe that she sponsored, one or two of them, maybe even. That will we're going to be doing, I think, a pre-recorded interview a little bit later on this afternoon, and I should be playing that or portions of that tomorrow. I may have Commissioner Pinocchi on here too, as I should have on here as well, I should say, to comment on that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here on the show. When we come back on the other side, we're going to dig into some of these, some of the bills that are making their way through the legislature right now, and what we can do to help get these bills along. We appreciate you joining us here, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, or MontanaDailyGazette.com for the news website portion. Or of course, you can go to the northwestlibertynews.com, the flagship Northwest Liberty News. I'm working on some updates to the Northwest Liberty News to keep it more current. It's just so many things going on. It's difficult to devote a whole lot of time doing that, but I'm going to put that in my schedule to get done. So stick with me, and I'll be back here after these brief messages. And please pay attention to our sponsors, because that's how you can help the show, by supporting our sponsors, and we do appreciate that. We'll be back after these brief messages. I'm your host, James White, and this is Montana Gazette Radio. If you like classic cars, exceptional service, and a money-back guarantee, then the Corner Shop in beautiful downtown Kalispell is the place for you. Whether it's an oil change, engine diagnostic, suspension work, or brakes all around, the Corner Shop has you covered. With expert technicians and a free consultation on all services, you can't go wrong with the Corner Shop. Did I mention the classic cars? While you're waiting for your expert service to be performed, take a stroll through the showroom to see Kalispell's smoothest collection of classic cars. The Corner Shop is conveniently located at 1212 South Main, just south of the courthouse. The Corner Shop is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., so drop by for an appointment or call 755-7777. That's 755-7777. The Corner Shop, Kalispell's full-service auto repair facility. Hi, this video is brought to you by PatriotPrepared.com, where right now you can save $250 on each large package purchase, plus get free shipping to the continental United States. In these troubled times, it's not a bad idea to have some extra food storage available, and you can save big at Patriot Prepared right now. Go to PatriotPrepared.com, that's PatriotPrepared.com, and use the code TRUMP250 at checkout to receive your savings today. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out with us after the break. We appreciate that. I'm your host, James White. And I just want to once more comment on PatriotPrepared.com. Apparently there's a website out there that has a similar name. I'm not sure what it's called. Haven't been able to determine that yet. But they're selling some backpack deal with a trial, and they bill you every month. And people have been sending me just a voluminous amount of correspondence asking me to cancel their subscription, and they never received their backpack or whatever. Not me. The Patriot Prepared doesn't sell the backpacks that is always the topic of the emails and messages to me. I've reached out to some of the people and asked them to please let me know who these people are that are doing this, so I can maybe contact them and tell them to knock it off, because I think people associate Patriot Prepared with this company, and I don't even, anything I sell, I don't have any subscription things or anything like that. So not me. So just let you know, if you happen to tune into this and you see that commercial, don't go, hey, those scoundrels scam me out of a backpack. I don't even sell backpacks like that, like you're stating on the website. So I'm not the guy. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in here. We do appreciate you looking in on the show today. What we're trying to do here, folks, is we're trying to beat back the tyranny, the obvious tyranny that has gripped this nation and has had us under under its grip and control for many, many years now. I think, thankfully, we're in a time that people are waking up and realizing what's going on. Our only hope and prayer is that we've done it in enough time. That we've done it. Have we waited too long? Myself and people like me and others have been trying to wake people up and red pill people, I guess, if you want to use that term, for many, many years, some people for decades. And now it seems to be en masse. People are waking up. As I stated here before the break, earlier in the show, I've guests in from out of town that one of them are going to classes back where they're from and learn about the Constitution. And sounds like they're being taught by someone like Ron Gibson, for example, who's been on this show for many, many years talking about all these things that are coming out in the public now. Anna Von Reitz was on my show here. That's the reason I was on YouTube jail for a week, is because I had her on my show, and after that interview, they booted me off. You can go to Rumble, Northwest Liberty News on Rumble, and you can check out that interview with Anna Von Reitz. It's a great interview. She's talking about those things that we've been talking about for a long, long time here on this show. And, there's again, mass awakening going on, folks. And, get on board for the big win, because we're going to take this country back from these tyrants, these scoundrels. We're taking it back, and we're taking it back a little bit at a time. And there's going to be some, unfortunately, seems to be there's going to be some casualties along the way. But, there isn't any war, and we're really in a war here. And I've said this for a long time. We're at a crossroads in this country, and one path leads to freedom and liberty and, individual rights being restored. And the other path leads to the deepest, darkest tyranny, perhaps, that we can imagine. So, your help is needed to get involved. And that's all I can say about that. I think you know this, though, intrinsically. You know that you need to get involved. All right, so here's one way you can get involved, is you can get involved in your local legislature. And we're going to kick over to that right here. So again, if you want to go to this site here and see what's going on, you can go to laws.leg.mt.gov. And I'm highlighting it up there in the bar. You can't see that, I'm sure. But I'm going to tell you what I'm highlighting there. laws.leg.mt.gov. If you go there, you can bring up, I don't know which page it brings up. Probably, it may bring up this one. Yeah. So it'll bring up that page right there. And all you do is you go down here to the bill, and it gives you a drop down of the bill, different bills. House bill, Senate bill. These are the ones that are in judiciary, or maybe in committee. So you just type whatever it is in here, or you can go by the legislator. If you have a favorite legislator, you can, not a favorite legislator necessarily, but a legislator that has introduced a bill, has sponsored a bill. You can go here and you can just choose a specific legislator, and their any legislation that they have sponsored will pop up there as well. So that is if you're in Montana, I don't know if they have this in every state. I don't know. Oh yeah, by the way, you can actually hit with subject and all kinds of different stuff. So this is a really, really good website here. If you want to be involved, that's where I would start. I would start here at this laws.leg.mt.gov, and you can be well on your way to being involved and getting involved in Montana politics, or wherever you're from. Okay, we're going to look at a few bills here today. We got 4 or 5 here on the docket that we're going to look into. This first one we're going to cover here is by Jedediah Hinkle. This is the revised laws related to firearms, ammunition, and accessories. And let's click this here to get the text of the PDF on this. And it'll give us a little bit better, more detailed description here. Hopefully, it looks like the site is not wanting to bring it up. Interesting. Maybe the legislative site is getting overwhelmed. I can't believe that. There we go. Okay, this is a bill enacting an act prohibiting the enforcement of a federal ban on or regulation of firearms, magazines, ammunition components, or firearm accessories, and providing an immediate and effective date. Okay, so let me expand this a little bit here so we can see a little bit better. You can see how this has been introduced by a lot of different legislators. This means it has a strong support. So this right here is, again, an act prohibiting the enforcement of a federal ban on or regulation of firearms, magazines, ammunition components, or firearms accessories. Now, as I was just speaking about, this is something that is very, very timely because they are trying to move forward federally to take our firearms, to remove our firearms, to remove our rights on our firearms. So what this effectively does is it prohibits, if I remember correctly, there's a lot of bills, but I think it prohibits the law enforcement in Montana from enforcing the federal laws. If the feds come down with any laws, this gives someone in Montana some protection against that. So this is a yes vote on this particular bill. And again, you can go here to the Montana Legislative site and find out more information about how to act on that. You can act on that. Okay, let's look at the next one here. This is from David Bidet. Require elected officials approval of local health board and officer actions. What I think this is effectively going to do is it's going to help keep the health officers from becoming, basically mini dictators. So let's read this here. An act revising laws related to local boards of health, requiring that certain rules, regulation, and fees be proposed by a local board of health and adopted by the governing body, allowing a local board of health to adopt rules to implement a regulation adopted by a local governing body, allowing a governing body to amend a directive, mandate, or order given by a local board of health during a time of emergency or disaster, allowing a government body to amend an order given by a local health officer during a time of emergency or disaster. So basically what this is doing is taking the power out of the hands of a health officer here. Is this going to work? I guess that's not working now. This is going to take this out of the hands of a health officer, and this is going to put it back in the hands of the folks, which we are happy for. This is, again, bill number, it is HB 121. HB 121. It looks like I've lost that connection. I've lost my ability to use my little board thing here, so I'm going to have to go around that. Okay, so the next bill here is SB 391. Let's see if this is the right. Nope, that's not there. Is that the right one? There it is. Number 9. SB 391. This is a biggie right here, folks. This is the bill that was brought forth earlier by Brad Cheetah, which we covered here on the show. So let's pop this open here a little bit larger and read it. A bill for an act entitled, an act providing for Public Service Commission regulation of access software providers, limiting unreasonable censorship, providing due process and equal protection, providing for complaint procedures, providing fines for noncompliance, providing for a filing fee, providing rulemaking authority, providing definitions. So what this is basically the bill that we covered here before on the show, but by Brad Cheetah, visit 538. I remember that. Anyway, that got sort of voted down. So Senator Teresa Manzella, who I plan on interviewing this afternoon, at least that's the general plan, and I'll have that interview tomorrow. All along, I think I'll be interviewing Martin Lynch, he's the author who has helped write this legislation. We'll have them on later on, I believe, in a pre-recorded interview, and should play some of it tomorrow. Should let you know we are having Steve Wagner on tomorrow from Tactical Civics. We're going to be talking tactical civics tomorrow here on the show. And if that's something that you're interested in, it's becoming a lot more in the mainstream now. And as I stated, people are starting to realize that, their rights have been usurped usurped by well, a variety of folks, but we're taking it back, and tactical civics is going to be one of the ways that we're going to do that. And tomorrow, Steve Wagner will be on the show. We're delighted to have Steve on the show with us. So tune in then if you'd like to see Steve Wagner tomorrow, same time. Okay. All right. So let's go over another bill here. So that's the one by Teresa Manzella for the Public Service Commission, the regulation of the internet. A key bill. It's vitally important that we support Teresa and others on this bill here, because they're crushing conservative voices, and you'll be next. All right, the next one here is by Derek Skees, who's been here on the program numerous times. I'm not really familiar with this one too much, but we'll look into it. It's the Established Montana School Marshal Program, which I imagine would be something like a marshal at the school to protect the children. But I'm just guessing here. Let's read what it says, and then we'll all know. So this is from House Bill 572, introduced by Derek Skees. A bill for an act entitled. So this is an act creating the Montana School Marshal Program, providing qualifications to be appointed as a school marshal, providing school marshal duties, providing duties for school district boards of trustees, requiring notification to law enforcement, allowing the school district to pay for certain costs, exempting school marshals from certain concealed carry prohibitions. So this is exactly what it is. So this is a bill proposed by Representative Derek Skees, who wants to put marshals in schools. Now, as I stated here previously, I think it was before the break, they're really pushing hard to confiscate people's guns. And what they have done in other countries is they have staged mass shooting events that include children, and a tremendous loss of life in some cases. And right on the heels of that happening, they come out with these draconian gun confiscation laws, and they disarm the majority of the population. This is how they roll. Okay, this is what they've done in other countries with success. So why not do it here? We have to be on guard for that. This is the MO. This is what they do. They put children in harm's way. They run false flag gun ops, where there's mass casualties, and they start screaming. It's all orchestrated. It's all in advance. Then they start screaming about how we need to get rid of guns. What they don't ever talk about is the fact that 180 million gun owners in this country every day don't commit any crimes. They don't commit any crimes. They don't commit any gun crimes. Hundreds of millions or tens of millions of people, let's say, daily don't commit any gun crimes at all in Montana or anywhere else. But no, that's not taken into account the fact that the majority of all gun owners are lawful gun owners and don't, as I said, commit crimes. That doesn't seem to matter. It's the 0.0001% of people that are not usually lawful gun owners that commit the crimes, and they want us all to suffer for it. So this is the battle that we're in right now, and the battle that we've always been in, folks, is the battle to take our guns. This is it's not going to stop. Sadly, it's not going to stop. What I will be doing at some point here is when I get things back rolling and get more consistently, it sounds like I've got most of the issues. That it was a software issue that I was working on that I think repaired a lot of the problems. I haven't heard, thankfully, any audio issues here now at all. So once I get back on the normal routine here with the show, I'll be opening up the phone lines and taking calls. I'll have guests on that will be able to take calls here on the show. That is that's what the goal is to do that. Thanks for those of you that are tuning in here on Podbean. Appreciate that. Thanks for those that are tuning in on YouTube. Share the show around. Help increase the audience. They crush me and shadow ban me. I can't believe they haven't booted me fully yet. I'm glad they haven't, but I'm surprised I'm still here, frankly, on YouTube for sure. These other platforms, not so much. Podbean and Blog Talk. And again, I'll have all the links to all these programs here on Northwest Liberty News and probably on Montana Daily Gazette here before long. Okay, so let's go back here to these bills and let's check them out here. We got a couple left here. We got one. We have two more left here. So let's check these out. This is HD 26 from Jeremy Trebus. Let's take a look at what this says. Generally revised criminal procedures and criminal laws. Let's see what this says here. Let's pop it open. This is an act revising criminal laws related to trespass, providing that failure to wear a face covering or carry proof of vaccination may not be considered in the crime of criminal trespass. Okay, so that's one of the things I think they just arrested Ammon Bundy on this. And I reached out to Ammon. He's out of jail, and hopefully I have him on the show here. But I believe they arrested him on trespassing. So what they're saying is with this law here, this HB 501, they're not going to be able to accuse you of trespassing if you don't wear a mask. If you say I'm not wearing a mask, they can't call the cops and say we're being I'm going to call the cops on you for trespassing, which is what they do, which is one of the things that they've done. This is hopefully going to end that. A person convicted of trespassing. Okay, so yeah, let's stand behind this bill, HB 501. HB 501. That's it's freedom. It's a freedom bill. Freedom to decide not to wear a mask. And again, like I said before, just like the government doesn't give you the right to defend yourself. They don't give you the right to breathe free air either. It's not like you have to get their permission to breathe unobstructed air. When you break it down like that, folks, isn't it? Think about it, right? You have to get permission to breathe unobstructed air from the government without a mask on your face. You have to wait for them to allow you to do that. How ridiculous is this? How captured are you if you think that's okay? That's what I would ask myself. How captured am I? Because you're pretty darn captured if you think that you need to have the government's approval to breathe fresh air. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. You need to understand your freedoms and who you are, folks, because if you did, you wouldn't put up with it. You just wouldn't put up with it unless you chose to. Now, if it's a choice of yours, if you say, hey, listen, I've got a weak immune system, or, I'm prone to catching, colds or whatever choice, it's your life, whatever you decide. If you want to wear a mask, if that's something you choose to do because you want to personally do it, then by all means, go right ahead. That's your right to do it just as much as it's my right not to. And that's what it should always be about, is a personal choice. Who wants to be forced to do anything? Right? This isn't the way that things are supposed to operate. We're not supposed to. We're not the servants. They're not the masters. It's the other way around. We're the masters and they're the servants in that context. But they've managed to flip it to they're the masters and we're the servants. Do you see how successful their mind control, trauma-based mind control operation has run? False flags are the same way. Same concept, right? The false flag mass shooting. Trauma-based mind control. Trauma-based mind control. Everybody that watches this show, I would suggest that you take some time before the next broadcast. Look up trauma-based mind control and just do some. Start with MK Ultra, Project Monarch, Lawrence Livermore Laboratories. These are all. This is Ewing Cameron, Dr. Ewing Cameron. Just start doing some of this research. It's all out there, and you'll see the trauma-based mind control operation that's being run on all of us. Okay, you don't have to succumb to this. It's a fear-based, mind manipulation operation, and it's only going to be successful if you succumb to the fear. If you don't, it can't work for them. It can't work for them. really the power hasn't been in your hands to decide to choose that, to accept that or not. It's always up to us, folks. It's always been up to us. All right, let's go here to the last one. This again is from Teresa Manzella. Generally revise the immunization laws related to foster care. Which means, let's see, let's pop it up here. I think this is the one where the foster care families do not have to have their own children vaccinated before they can become foster parents. So let's see what this says. An act generally revising immunization laws related to foster care, prohibiting the Department of Public Health and Human Services from implementing or enforcing immunization requirements not expressly authorized by the legislature, prohibiting the withholding of any benefit in connection with immunization status, and validating any rule consistent with this directive. Basically, that's what it means. So it means, well, let's look at a little bit of the notes here. The legislature finds that a steep rise in the number of children entering foster care since 2008 has placed the foster care system under unprecedented strain. So basically, what they're trying to do is we're trying to open up the foster care for parents who are patriots or Christians that don't agree with the immunizations, that have decided not to immunize their children, which is their legal right to do in Montana. Understand this. This is their legal right to do. It's all about freedom of choice, folks. We don't need other adults. You don't need other adults to tell you what to do. We don't need this. We do not need other adults to tell us what to do. Just think about that for a second. Are you really that captured and that dependent that you need other adults to give you permission to do things? It's preposterous, folks. It really is. So what they're doing here with this bill here from Teresa is they are, and by Michelle Binkley, who's been on the show too, they are really removing the requirement that the foster care family vaccinate their children before they can become foster care. So what's that going to do? That's going to open up the foster care system to, again, more patriot-minded people, more Christians, that type of thing, which they don't want that. They don't want more Christians being in the foster care system. They don't want that type of message being proliferated. They don't want it. One more time here, I'm going to show you guys where you can go yourself, is right here to the laws.leg.mt.gov, laws.leg.mt.gov. You can go there and you can look up the bill numbers. You can look up, just type it in here. You can look up by the draft number. You can look up by legislator. You can look up by subject, primary sponsor. Everything you really need to find out about the Montana Legislature is bills, as far as bills are concerned. You can go to, and it looks like you can even, I haven't been to this section, it looks like you can drop down. Yeah, so you can go all the way back to 1999, I guess, and look up the bills from there. May special session, interesting. So yeah, you can, this is a really powerful website, gives you an opportunity to find the bills, and then you can call in. Actually, I think these days you probably just Zoom in or message in. I think the whole Zoom thing's set up there at the legislature. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it is, where you can Zoom in and you can testify. You can send letters to the Montana Legislature, to your own legislator or others, and let them know how you feel about things. And again, that's how we take our country back, folks. It's not me or you or your neighbor. It's all of us. It's all of us together. That's how we do it, right? Because, how they play the divide and conquer strategy on us so often and so effectively, is they wouldn't do that if they didn't mind us all coming together. They don't want this. Why do you think they stopped they tried to stop people from coming together for Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff? They don't want you getting together and talking about these things with your family. An informed, educated populace it's kryptonite to these scoundrels. It really is. It destroys their whole entire narrative. Once you come to the conclusion that it's not your neighbor who is your enemy, or the person that that is a different political stripe that is your enemy. I'm talking about on a person-to-person level. And these are not a person that practices a different religion than you, not necessarily your enemy, right? Once we come to realize that they are playing us against each other. Because once we played against each other and we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not focusing our attention on the real criminals, and that's the establishment, who's usurped our constitutional form of government, taken it over, and now they run things, and they have people in all places. They have their people in just about every location, every institution, certainly, right? Our current government structure is a joke. It's a joke. It really is. It's a joke, fraud. It's almost like circus land. It's almost like it's like some cosmic joke. Something's going to have to give here at some point. This can't continue to go on. This can't continue to go on forever. And, I've pretty much at this point stopped, talking about dates and this thing. It's going to happen, I guess, when it's going to happen. If it does happen, we'll see. And just kind of touching on this briefly before I close the show. Of course, the mantra before was, patriots are in control and the military's in control. White hats are in control, however you want to put that. And again, my closing thought on that is, if that's the case, then why is the border, the detention centers at the border, the internment centers, how come they're 700% over capacity? How come child trafficking has increased? I don't know how many hundreds of percent, 200 or 300%. The child trafficking has increased since the Biden administration came in office. They're letting rapists, murderers, drug dealers, pedophiles all across the border, pretty much. Without some of them, they're not even putting court dates. I've read they're not even doing court dates. They are just letting them out. So, these people can continue to do shows, and they will. They'll continue to do these shows saying white hats are in control, patriots are in control. I hope they're right. I tell you one thing, I don't see the logic behind, if you're in control, why you let, so many people that would harm otherwise, harm Americans in the country. Why would you let that happen? I just don't know. But, it's just a long list of things I don't know. We'll continue to see. All we can do is just continue to, in your own town, again, I will state this lastly before we close the program. Don't be so much concerned with the circus that's going on there in Washington. Be really more concerned with, really concerned more with what's going on in your local legislature, in your city hall, in your county commission. That's where you really can make the difference locally. For example, here with this legislature, if we pass this bill here by Jedediah Hinkle that I covered, it will basically nullify these federal, overreach, these draconian federal gun laws that they're trying to enact here. It will nullify them. They won't have any power here in Montana. This is what has to be done, folks. You have to act locally. That's the only way to do it. Washington's done. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a caricature of itself. It's a fraud. It's a con. You can see this now, right? I mean, the quote unquote president of the United States can't even walk up a flight of stairs, can barely put a sentence together. Looks like he's on drugs most all the time I see him. This is, again, it's surreal. It's like a surreal, Kafka-esque type of a world that we're living in right now. So, all you can do is keep your powder dry, keep alert, and keep tuning into places like Montana Gazette Radio to find the truth, the best that we know how to put it out. And we thank you for tuning in. You can support us by going to montanadailygazette.com, montanadailygazette.com, or the flagship northwestlibertynews.com. And there's a page, if you go to montanagazetteradio.com, the videos should be up there of the previous interviews that I've done here in these shows. There's a playlist there that's linked in right on the page. So we do appreciate your support and spreading the video around. Thanks so much for tuning in with us today. we'll be back tomorrow with Steve Wagner and probably Commissioner Pinocci. We're going to try to work that out. And we're going to be breaking down the interview that I'll be doing later on with Teresa Manzella today about these many great bills that she's introduced, and especially the internet censorship one. So we do appreciate you tuning in to the show. Please support our sponsors. And until next time, this is James White for Montana Gazette Radio, saying bye now. Oh, that's not going to work for us. Let's see if I can hit the right closing thing here. Nope.